Oh, hello, YouStormer. Well, this is exciting. I'm trying something completely new with this video, which is I'm going to look at a global weather forecast, looking at the weather globally. And what you're looking at here is a global weather forecast done using the global forecasting system model. And the colors, the blues, are rainfall. So this shows you where all of the heavy rain is going, and this is a 10-day forecast, so it goes all the way into the beginning of November. What I'm going to do is just write here that this this is the date. Alright, so you've got to check here is the day. Well, first of all, I want to just label some of the key features on this 10-day prediction. The first is, along the equator, you're going to see a line of rainfall that stretches all the way around the globe. This is known as the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or the ITCZ. There's another one in the South Pacific. That's the South Pacific Convergence Zone. And these are tropical areas of heavy rain and thunderstorms. And there, you can see them just going on throughout the whole 10 days. Right, so the first, if you look at this, you'll see all these other spirals going off. But there's one particularly significant event. And can you spot it? I'm going to show you where it is. It is actually in the West Pacific, as you probably can see. I'm going to trace it out with the highlighter. You know what? I'm going to do yellow and increase the size of this. So here we go. Going back to the beginning of the forecast now. There we go. And then it changes, becomes less tropical. Now this is a tropical cyclone developing. And it's currently just become a tropical storm, and I believe it's being given the name Saola, and it's forecast to intensify, but not become an exceptionally strong typhoon, but become a typhoon eventually. So first of all, let's take a closer look at this storm, and I'll just put an arrow on there. There we go. Oh yeah, and this is the tropical cyclone symbol. Right. So this is today's polar orbiter image, mosaic of images from the Aquamodis polar orbiter. And there's Australia and Asia and North America. In the middle, you'll see there's a large area of white clouds. This is the developing possible typhoon Saola, currently a tropical storm. You can actually make out some pretty substantial thunderstorms going on as this tropical cyclone is struggling to intensify. Over on the left are the Philippines. So let's have a look at the official track of where this thing is supposed to go. Right, that's another image. This is the forecast track from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, and they have it becoming a typhoon on the 26th of October. It's a marginal typhoon. It's a weak one in their prediction, but then it passes and then curves, and it doesn't look like, according to their current track, and we'll see how this turns out. It's missing Japan. Primarily missing Japan and recurving, and at that point it is forecast to be 80 knots and make it a typhoon in that track. Let's take a look at the satellite loop. Put that full screen. So this is the system since over today, and the colors in these images are infrared temperatures. So as you go into these reds and yellows and into the whites, these are actual temperatures of the clouds, and the whites are the coldest temperatures, and the coldest are the highest. And I can't actually read the scale, but these are very cold cloud tops. They're right at the top of the scale, and they're probably, at a guess, I would say 15-kilometer deep clouds. Very vigorous, intense and violent thunderstorms with this system. Over on the left you can just make out the outline of the Philippines, and then over here is Guam. Actually, that small island that if you can see the pointer, I'm pointing it out. Right, so let's return to the global outlook and find some more interesting weather. If you look towards the east of Tropical Storm Saola, go into the middle of the Pacific, you can just make out, and I'm going to draw them in, the islands of Hawaii. There we go. Great map. At the beginning of the forecast period, which begins now, you'll see there's a brief line of heavy rainfall, and then later there's another one, and there it is right there. These are upper level cold core low pressure systems, and the second one looks like it may be a Kona low. So I'm going to label those in, and we're going to look at those in a bit more detail. Let me get this to be white. So let's look at the dates first of all. The first bit of rain there. So I'm going to label the dates. So that's today, the 24th. And then the second one is there, and that seems to affect the other end of the island chain. And that is right at the end of the month and into the beginning of November. So I'm going to put in 31st for 31st of October. Right, let's have a look at these in a bit more detail. This is a infrared satellite loop focusing on Hawaii. The islands are in the center, and these big blobs of red blowing up, I mean, these are some pretty significant thunderstorms, particularly for an area not really renowned for its thunderstorms. And in fact, the National Weather Service their map is turning kind of colorful. That's because each one of these colors is a different warning, and they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning for these thunderstorms near Maui, and a flash flood warning. So when these thunderstorms hit the mountains of the Hawaiian Islands, they can tend to produce very, very heavy rain, focused in particular locations. If we look at the weather radar, you can see how there's a very large area of that's very heavy rain. Anything in the oranges and reds is very heavy rain, and a pretty distinct thunderstorm line. You can just make out, I'm outlining Maui, and so that's why they have the warnings there. So a pretty interesting system going on right now, and then it looks like another system developing in several days' time as well. Returning to the global forecast, let's have a look at the southern hemisphere. The first thing you can see are all of these low pressure systems moving rapidly towards the east. These are the roaring 40s, very violent storms, large storms producing enormous waves in the uninterrupted Southern Ocean as it goes around the whole way around Antarctica. And off the coast of South America on the eastern side, you'll actually see some interesting looking storms spinning off and spiraling. These are probably subtropical cyclones. They're hybrid storms that are between either extratropical or tropical. They're sort of a mixture, and they can be quite violent. They also occur off the east coast of Australia and off the east coast of South Africa. So you've got to be looking out for these. There aren't any significant ones, it looks like, at the moment, although there is something there, and that's around at the end of the month, the possible low pressure off the east coast of Australia. Another thing to note about this loop are areas where there isn't any rain, because we know that fires have been in the news. And if you look at California, where there have been these huge fires, 10-day forecast, can you see any rain there at all? Nothing. And actually there is critical fire danger continuing in this area. Another area is the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. Again, I don't see much in the way of rain happening there either. Other areas typically dry, like the Middle East and Sahara Desert, unsurprisingly, and actually Central Australia, I think there is a little bit of rain that moves through. Yep, there it is. So those dry areas are significant too. In the United States, there's currently a cold front and with a lot of vigorous storms. So in that area, it's currently moving out and heading into Canada and off into the Atlantic. But a second one develops, and I'll put in the date for that. There it is. So that's around the 30th of October. Another vigorous storm system, and this is the US we're talking about here, so probably these are going to be severe thunderstorms. In the Caribbean, there's quite a lot of heavy rain going on, and into Central America in this region. And in fact, the National Hurricane Center is currently has an area which they're investigating. So they're investigating this disturbance, and they think that it has a 50% chance of developing into or forming into a tropical depression or possibly tropical storm through the next 5 days or so. Finally, I'd like to wrap this up by looking at Europe. We've had a couple of interesting storms recently. Hurricane Ophelia that hit Ireland as a extratropical cyclone, and then we had Storm Brian, and I'm going to show a couple of time lapses, or rather videos, and a time lapse from Ophelia and then some videos at the end of this video. But let's look at Europe. If you look at this map, this is roughly the current sea level pressure and also the rain. There's a big low pressure system down in the sort of centered over the Greek areas, and we can actually watch this ongoing in a sense, because if you can hear, there's a clicking going on in the background. That is from the Blitzortung website, where they're actually monitoring current lightning activity, and you can see each lightning strike ticking, and then a circle comes out to show where it occurred. The colors are indicating how recent the lightning strike was, so the whites are very recent, and it goes down to reds, which are older. So lightning is there are thunderstorms over quite a large area, from Turkey almost all the way back to Sicily, not quite, and then looks like heading into Crete. Interestingly, avoiding most of Greece, although in the corner there are some. So this is quite an interesting event, probably bringing some severe thunderstorms and flooding rain into certain areas. If we look at the satellite, and this is in from today, and it shows Greece is in the center here, you can see, kind of make out this large messy area of low pressure, and in here, actually, remember those thunderstorms that were approaching Crete? Well, you can actually see Crete over here and then the thunderstorms, and this image is gradually getting into focus because it's loading. There we go. Now it's gotten a bit clearer. You can see these deep clouds with their wispy tops, and those are the thunderstorms. Now I want to go back to the European forecast, because there's some interesting things in the future potentially developing. So this is the rainfall, sea level pressure currently. Now let's go forward in time. The UK is under the southwesterly wet and miserable flow. I can tell you because I'm here and I can look outside. It's grey and pretty damn miserable. Going forward, you'll see the low pressure in the Mediterranean actually heads what the hell? Heads into Africa a little bit, giving a bit of rain into Egypt. But as we go forward in time, we'll see that the direction of the isobars, the winds will be coming down from the northwest over the UK this time. Things are beginning to change over the UK, and the winds turn round more to the north. Now at this point, the winds are actually coming down from the north. At this point, that's the 29th of October. Now let's just flick through. We've got a high pressure off to the west, and then as we go into the beginning of next month, now this is a long way off, so seriously of questionable accuracy, but we'll see, maybe this will happen. The winds start blasting out from the north and coming down over the UK, even some suggestions of what's called a polar low in there, I think. And when it turns to these blues, that's snow. So snow, according to this, November 2nd, snowfall coming down, pushing across pretty much the whole of the UK and Ireland, and even into France. And you can see all over the Alps snow as well. So this is a long way off, but that's pretty early in the winter to get that kind of snow coming down. And the winds are actually, I'll just bring them up quickly because they are quite strong in this northerly blast. Yeah, so that's actually, yeah, that's actually November 1st. You can see very strong winds. These are over 40 knot winds out of the north coming down. So anyway, this is a long way off, but definitely something I'm going to be watching because I'm here in the UK and I love snow, and if there was snow I'd be pretty happy. Do I believe there's going to be snow? Well, I'm always skeptical. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do for the moment on this experimental video. I hope it's enjoyable in some sense and you get something out of it. If not, no worries. But I'm going to try a few more of these and try and improve and experiment more with this idea of doing a global forecast. Let me know if you have any good websites with nice imagery that shows some of these interesting and fascinating events. Thanks again for watching. Here's some other stuff and some music.